GM just had 600,000 trucks recalled for catastrophic engine failure. Toyota is on its second major engine recall in 18 months. Same engine, same problem? Honda has 1.4 million vehicles under federal investigation right now. Hyundai paid over $1 billion in settlements. Handed people replacement engines, and those engines failed the same way. These are not fringe brands. These are the four biggest names in the American market, and they're all imploding at the same time. That's not a coincidence. That's not bad luck. There is one industry-wide crisis driving all of this. We're going to break down exactly what it is because the manufacturers are not going to tell you. Here's the truth. If you're someone who cares about protecting your vehicle with real facts instead of marketing hype, hit that subscribe button right now. Every single one of these failures traces back to the same set of root causes. Engineers didn't suddenly forget how to build engines. What changed is the environment those engineers are forced to work in. When you stack all of these factors together, you get what we're seeing. Reason number one. They stuffed a race car engine into your family truck. Let me paint you a picture real quick. Back in the 1990s, this truck had a big 5.7-liter V8 under the hood. It made maybe 210 horsepower. That engine had thick walls and lots of metal everywhere. It would run forever because it was never being pushed near its limit. You could skip an oil change, run it hard in the summer heat, and it just kept going. Those engines are still out there. Now here's what's happening today. Manufacturers figured out a trick. If you slap a turbocharger on a tiny engine, say a 2.7-liter, and crank up the boost pressure, you can squeeze 400 horsepower out of something the size of a suitcase. On paper, that sounds awesome. More power, smaller engine, better fuel economy numbers. Marketing loves it. The EPA loves it. Everybody's happy, except your engine. Here's the thing nobody tells you at the dealership. That little engine is producing more internal pressure, more heat, and more stress than that old V8 ever did, with half the metal. We're talking cylinder pressures over 2,000 psi. That's the pressure you use to only see inside purpose-built race engines. Your truck is not getting rebuilt after every race. It's sitting in a Target parking lot for 45 minutes with the AC on. Think about it like this. Imagine you hired two guys to carry boxes all day. Guy number one is 250 pounds of muscle, built for heavy lifting. Guy number two is a skinny 140-pound kid. The big guy handles the weight fine, but that skinny kid? He's burning out twice as fast because he was never built for that load. That's your modern engine. It's the skinny kid carrying a big man's load every single day for years. And it gets worse. These engines have tolerances, the tiny gaps between moving parts that are now measured in microns. A human hair is 70 microns thick. We're talking about gaps smaller than that. Everything must be machined to absolute perfection. There is zero margin for error. With the old-school V8, the tolerances were loose enough. The parts were beefy enough. It kept going. With today's engine, a microscopic piece of metal in the wrong place, and the whole thing starts coming apart. Because when you're running at race car stress levels with half the metal, physics doesn't care what the warranty says. They know this. The engineers know this. But the fuel economy targets demanded smaller engines. And smaller engines with more power meant pushing the limits of what metal and oil can physically survive at mass production scale. And here we are. Reason 2, the oil in your engine is basically water now, and that was 100% intentional. This one genuinely makes me angry because it is the most clear-cut example of manufacturers choosing a number on a government test over engine health. Let's go back in time real quick. 20 years ago, most engines ran on 5W30 motor oil. It was thick enough to coat your bearings with a solid protective film, tough enough to handle heat and pressure, and it worked great. Then the fuel economy push started getting serious and engineers realized something. Thinner oil flows faster and creates less internal drag. So 5W30 became 5W20, then OW20, then manufacturers started pushing OW16, and now some of the newest engines are speccing OW8s. For context, OW8 is so thin that if you poured it on your hands right now, it would feel almost like water. That is what is supposed to be the only thing standing between your engine's crankshaft and total destruction. And why did they go this thin? Not because it's better for your engine, but because it saves about half a mile per gallon. That's it. That's the reason your $75,000 truck is running. Oil barely thicker than the stuff you'd use for a squeaky door hinge. Now here's where it gets real. For thin oil to actually work, those parts have to be machined to incredibly precise tolerances. We're talking about the gap between your crankshaft and your bearings being smaller than a human hair. Because if that gap is even slightly too large, thin oil just gets pushed out, and your metal parts are grinding against each other. The machining has to be perfect. The assembly has to be perfect. The oil pressure has to stay up. There cannot be any debris, but real life doesn't work that way. Real life means a cold start on a January morning in Minnesota, where that thin oil takes a few extra seconds to fully circulate. And here's the part almost nobody is talking about. Old engine bearings were built with a lid overlay on top, and that lid was forgiving. If a tiny piece of debris got into your oil, it would just embed right into that soft lid layer and sit there harmlessly. Then environmental regulations targeting toxic materials pushed manufacturers to eliminate lead from engine components entirely. When you take the lead out, you replace it with harder aluminum-based alloys. Cleaner? Yes. But forgiving? Absolutely not. These new bearings do not absorb debris. They get scored by it. They take damage from every imperfection. You've got ultra-thin oil, tolerances so tight, and hard bearings with zero ability to forgive. You pulled 3 safety nets out at once. The proof? GM's recall fix for the 6.2-liter V8 was switching from OW20 to OW40, literally twice as thick. GM told you through their own recall remedy that OW20 was never adequate. They just didn't say it out loud. Reason 3, machining debris is destroying bearings before you ever drive off the lot. This is in the actual NHTSA documents. When manufacturers hone engine blocks, they generate microscopic metal particles, razor-sharp and harder than the bearing material. A professional builder spends hours cleaning a single engine, but GM and Toyota build thousands of engines a day. At that scale, you get automated rinses and quick visual checks. That is how the debris ends up in your engine. Thick enough to absorb it. The bearing material was soft enough to embed it harmlessly. But with today's engines running OW20 oil and micron-level clearances, everything changes. One microscopic piece of metal between a bearing and a crankshaft starts acting like sandpaper spinning at thousands of RPM. Soon, you've got metal on metal. A week later, the engine breaks down on the freeway with your kids in the back seat. This isn't just theory. It's in federal documents. Toyota's NHTSA filing describes debris that can lodge against the No. 1 main bearing. GM's filing calls out issues with crankshaft and connecting rod components. Reason 4, COVID broke the factories. Engines built between 2020 and 2022 came out of factories that were completely chaotic, with skeleton crews and new suppliers. Normal validation protocols were thrown out the window. Stellantis found actual sand trapped inside engine blocks. These are documented in recall filings and corporate communications. These engines are now at 60,000 to 100,000 miles, exactly where hidden manufacturing defects become catastrophic on the road. The warranty complaints are spiking right now. Reason 5, start-stop technology is accelerating bearing wear every single day. Every time your engine restarts, oil pressure drops to 0. When the engine fires back up, there's a moment where bearings spin with no oil film protecting them. That's a dry start event. Your city commute might be running 40 to 50 of these cycles a day. Highway trucks outlast personal trucks because they don't get this constant abuse. Reason 6. CAF e-fuel economy rules forced engineers into designs they knew were risky. This is the root of the problem. Missing targets by just 1 mile per gallon can lead to over $300 million in fines. So manufacturers squeeze every fraction of MPG by any means necessary. Ultra-thin oil, cylinder deactivation, and start-stop systems exist to hit government numbers, not because they make engines last 200,000 miles. Engineers didn't forget how to build reliable motors. Their bosses told them to hit 49 mpg or pay billions in penalties. They chose compliance over reliability. A predictable rate of engine failures was calculated to be less expensive than missing CAFE targets. You are paying for that decision with your truck. You can't change what they built, but you can stack the odds. Check your VENG right now at nhtsa.gov. If you're in a recall window, act immediately. Cut your oil intervals in half. An extra $60 a year in oil changes versus a $20,000 engine replacement is not a close call. Kill start-stop every single time you drive. If it resets, an OBD2 module can disable it permanently, gaining years of bearing life. After your warranty expires, step up 1 grade on oil. If you're running OW20, Consider OW30 to give your bearings a fighting chance. If buying used, stay away from 2021 through 2024 models. An older V8 with highway miles may be safer than a new twin-turbo with city miles. If your engine failed or if you're scared it's going to, drop your story in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe for more.